Trying to explain bosses in less than a minute is a pretty massive challenge for me, so let's see if I can do it. I never thought I'd be making a video like this for Mist of Pandaria dungeons. Temple of the Jade Serpent alongside a few other legacy dungeons are being added to the Mythic Plus table for Season 1. Feel free to use the timeline down below to jump to whichever boss you are interested in seeing. Also be sure to hit that like button if you end up enjoying this video. Let's dive in. Wise Mari will most likely be the first boss you're going to encounter in this dungeon. While it's a simple fight with its current tuning, it's pretty much a do or die encounter. Hydrolance is his main ability and will be cast frequently at random targets, and it does a ton of damage to whoever is hit. Kick this cast whenever possible. Mari will also apply the Corrupted Vortex debuff to a random target. Once this debuff expires or is removed, it will leave a zone on the ground that deals damage, and it pulls players to the center, affecting their movement speed. It's important to leave this towards the outside of the encounter space. Lastly, he will cast Wash Away, a nearly impossible to notice frontal. Once this cast begins, it will rotate a little more than 360 degrees, either clockwise or counterclockwise. This will most likely kill any player caught, so just run away from this. Now, while this might seem simple, you need to be careful of the Corrupted Geyser. The water around the boss will pulse 3 times before erupting, knocking any players caught up into the air. If you are wombo comboed by this mechanic and any other, you will most likely perish. Good luck. This boss can be pretty intense for tanks, so almost all the damage you will be taking on this fight will be magical through the boss's Strife cast. As you and your group attack these bosses, they will gain stacks of intensity, resulting in higher damage dealt. The idea of this fight is to push one boss all the way to 10 stacks to make him go immune from damage and to drop their stacks, and then it's a simple swap target strategy. I've seen groups try to optimize this by not going all the way to 10 stacks, since stacks actually will fall off without becoming immune. This can really be only useful to dot-based classes that still deal damage. The main issue with this fight is the damage to the tank though. The only other mechanic is a debuff called Feeling of Superiority, which will grant the player a massive 25% damage buff, but also forcing that player to take ever-ramping magic damage. The way to remove this debuff is by running over another player. So pass the debuff as often as you need to prevent anyone from perishing, and just keep swapping targets until they die. This boss is an absolute tank test. Flameheart has 3 total phases, with phase 2 being the most deadly. During the first phase, she will cast a nasty tank buster called Serpent Strike. Following this, she will cast Serpent Kick, which will need to be avoided. Preceding the Serpent Kick will be a spell called Serpent Wave, an avoidable directional mechanic. Flameheart enters phase 2 around 70% health, where all of her abilities will turn to Jade, which give them an additional property. For the tank, this will result in an extremely nasty debuff that will apply a healing absorb. The Serpent Waves will now also leave behind void zones that you should not stand in. If you have Luster Hero available, I would highly advise using it here. Her last phase will happen around 30% health, where she will summon Yu'lon. At this point, the mechanics completely change, and all your group needs to do is avoid the frontal, which is aimed at the tank, and avoid the impossible to see swirls on the ground. The Sha of Doubt only has a few mechanics. During the fight, there will be some spot healing that the healer will need to cover. Accompanying this, the Sha of Doubt will apply an extremely lethal debuff called Touch of Nothingness. The healer should dispel this one immediately, and the other player who has the debuff still needs the healer's full attention or to use a defensive cooldown. Shortly into the fight, the Sha of Doubt will cause adds to spawn, fixating players. Stack up as a group underneath the boss and use all crowd control effects to minimize the damage they deal. DPS players should do their best to kill them as fast as possible. Any adds still alive after the Sha's 30-second cast will result in a massive heal to the boss. Rinse and repeat until the temple is cleansed of doubt. I've really been liking these shorter videos. I hope you guys are finding them useful as well. Keep an eye out for my full-length dungeon walkthroughs in the near future by hitting that subscribe button. As always, huge shout out to my lovely Patreons who allow me to make these types of guides. Without them, there would be a lot less of this, so thank you. I hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.